The first thing I do in the morning, before my first sip of coffee, is turn on my Mac and get down to business. I build quality homes. I use the Mac in just about every aspect of the construction business. The Macintosh is my estimator, my design assistant, my project manager, my accountant, my document producer. It's here every day. It's not late for work. It's my silent partner.
Since we've gone totally Mac, we have noticed a measurable increase in our productivity. We look at everything in terms of production. A law firm is in many ways just like any other business. Well, we produce paper and we produce the results from paper instead of tin cans and widgets. And the ability to move from one piece of paper, one document to another, to pull documents together, to compare documents quickly and easily and comprehensively aids us in that production in ways that we have not been able to experience before.
Most other restaurateurs are scared of computers to begin with. Once they're exposed to the ease of use of a Macintosh, they'll realize how much time it'll save them. The Macintosh has really helped us in able to systemize things a lot faster and a lot easier. The graphics applications are fantastic. We use spreadsheets for forecasting. We're using it in almost every application you can think of. You just can't survive without it. So we're hooked. Well, it was all true. I wasn't making it up.
A computer, and we needed to automate our accounting. And more than that, we needed to put together a professional business plan and financials that would show that we were a very serious woman-owned and operated business. We chose the Macintosh and got the funding that we needed to expand, and we doubled our sales in 1 year because of the Macintosh.
The Macintosh has eliminated the accountants in this place. All of the ongoing information is created and used on a daily basis by the people in here. I'm an accountant. I have 5 different calculators. Each one does a trick. But I can only have one computer, and that computer's got to be a jack of all trades, and it's got to be used by all kinds of people. That's why we have a Macintosh.
I think the biggest challenge, especially in the restaurant business, is everybody's telling you can't do it. You go out and try to raise money, and the bankers don't want to give you any money. We, I think, caught the timing right. We started the business in 1988 in Palo Alto, and Dan and I came together from different angles. I'm a restaurant, hotel-oriented person, and Dan, of course, is in brewing and brewing engineering.
In the brewing industry, you either have a choice working for a large brewery or starting up my own brewery and coming back to where I grew up. And that was the basic decision, whether I wanted to try to start up my own business or go work for the big boys.
We found a building in Palo Alto, an old movie theater, and we went in there and built our restaurant. We have a 120-seat restaurant with a Bavarian brewery. And 2 years later, we've added another restaurant in San Jose, and we're also adding a third. We're doing really well, way above all our projections. But it's an incredibly detail-oriented type of business.
It's pretty much an industry that's in the dark ages with regards to computer applications. most restaurateurs have a classical restaurant background without much exposure to computers. They automatically go into shock and fear of using it. And we found out that most restaurateurs that come in here that are exposed to the way we're running our operation using Macintosh computers are quite pleased and amazed to see how easy it is to use and the amount of time that they're actually saving. When we first started up Gordon Biersch, we were using an IBM clone computer.
It was a whole maze and a whole field of study in my mind. You know, it was like learning a new language. So I really didn't take very well to the IBM stuff. The Macintosh I basically taught myself with.
Anyone will tell you how difficult it is to succeed in restaurants. The failure rate is phenomenal. So we take a real close look at the numbers, all of our daily sales, daily expenses. The Mac is great for that.
It takes us less than a minute to convert a DOS file to a Macintosh format. Using Apple File Exchange, one of the advantages is you're able to take your Lotus files, if you've been using a DOS-oriented environment, take them over and add them to your Excel or Wings files, and then take those, continue to work on spreadsheets that you've had already in progress.
What we have to do, Dan, is enter in a couple of menu changes. Because we do all of our menu printing in-house and on the Macintosh, we're able to respond even within a couple of hours to any changes we think necessary on the computer.
Other restaurants, I'm sure they're doing this in about 3 times the amount of time that we are. What happens is our chef will propose some new items to add on. We'll add it onto the menu using PageMaker. We'll use a spreadsheet for costing out the item based on its theoretical food cost. At the same time, we'll be updating our par sheets so that the ordering process can continue, and we'll always have enough stock of the item that we're trying to add onto the menu. And we'll have deliveries coming in on a daily basis for each of the items. We use only fresh ingredients for every item. At that point, we'll begin production of it in the kitchen, and then the final product would be cooked at the time of the order. Presently, we have 220 employees. We serve anywhere from 800 to 2,000 meals a day. All of our employees are inundated with questions about our product, how we produce it, primarily the beer. So what we've done is we've created a video presentation using Persuasion. You know, rather than giving them a booklet, they're going to sit in front of the screen and watch this neat presentation, whereas the booklet they'll probably discard after reading about 4 pages. We want to attract the best, most creative, and the brightest employees. And when we have this type of system in place, we're able to show a bright new hire, hey, this is the way we're going to do things. Does it look like it's fun to you? They always say yes. They jump in there. They're participating in a much more efficient fashion in a much shorter period of time.
I just wondered if you're working on the schedule, if I could get Sunday off. I need to.
Sure. Sunday, Dan, right?
Yeah.
The primary applications for us in our business on a daily basis would be scheduling. In this location here, we have 125 employees. So we have some that work 3 days a week, some that work full-time. We've got kitchen employees, all kinds of different scenarios.
What happened was Dean originally, it was taking him 3 days to do scheduling when we first opened. We converted to using the Macintosh, and we were able to do it in about an hour and a half.
Thanks a lot. That'd be good.
No problem. We can do it.
Most restaurants are doing everything on paper, everything. They're hiring graphic artists to do their layout, whatever type of advertisements they're doing, any kind of logo work. We go back and forth between our graphic artists on a modem. The graphics applications are fantastic. There's no way I could do it on an IBM. I had the opportunity to use the 2SI. I immediately took it home and started working like crazy. My wife didn't enjoy that too much, but it was a fixation there that I had. I just had to see what it could do.
The 2SI has been great for us because it kind of comes right in the middle. The nice thing about it is we've got a new machine, yet it's the same Macintosh that we're all familiar with. There's a lot for us to grow into still, but the nice thing is we've got everything there. We've been real successful with the first couple of stores, and fortunate that they've done so well. We obviously want to be as successful with the next couple of stores. We've got a lot to live up to.
You know, for me, that's the greatest satisfaction is having had a lot of people say nay, and now to see that ideas that really came from us and from the heart, you know, have worked out.
My name is Candy Wertheimer, and I'm president of A1 Box and Paper Company. We are a woman-owned and operated box plant. Right now, we have 23 employees. The moment of decision that we needed a computer was we realized with our cost accounting system, we needed job costs and we needed estimating. We were making far too many mistakes manually. And what we needed more than anything was consistency. And that's when we knew we had to have a computer.
And what we have to do is measure it, and we have to also be doing an estimate on the computer.
The Macintosh has been wonderful in growing with us. Dorothy is our inside sales correspondent. She was on the Mac within one day. She'll write up the orders, she'll draft the specifications. She also does the estimating. She uses it every day, every minute of every hour. In fact, I think that's an extension of her hands at this point.
Hello.
Kathy handles all the orders, all the inventory, the cash receipts, accounts receivable. All of the women have been cross-trained on the Macintosh. You need at least twice as many people in the office if you didn't have the Macintosh computer. And that's worth everything. That's just worth its weight in gold. My mom is a great salesperson. She goes out, she does things for customers that are beyond the call of duty. She works with a computer, she works on all the reports for the computer, especially with the accounts receivable, the aging. We've gotten our receivables down because of the Macintosh from 65 days to between 35 and 45 days. She's great. Many times I'll get a crisis phone call from my customer. I need boxes, I have my widgets coming down the line, and I need boxes in 24 hours. And that's what kind of service I can provide by knowing what is on the floor at all times. And that's the advantages of a Macintosh. The one thing that made me decide on the computer was my husband, Michael. He had been hired as our accountant. In fact, that's how we had met.
If a person came to me today and said, I'm going to buy a computer, where do I start? Get a consultant and get a good dealer. And talk to all of them, and I know what your answer is going to be. You're going to buy a Mac. On the Macintosh computer, we implement not only the standard accounting packages of general ledger, accounts receivable, accounts payable, inventory, and payroll. We also have modules that handle order entry, purchase order, and more detailed inventory management. My favorite module is Executive Advisor. It is a graphic representation of the database information that's available from the various modules. The Macintosh has eliminated the accountants in this place. With the exception of an end-of-year review, all of the information is being handled by regular people.
You've seen the Macintosh in our office, and in a couple of years, it'll be out on the production floor used by our employees. In fact, I can tell you a cute story about our maintenance man, Frank O'Meara. Frank has been in the business for 45 years. He's a genius when it comes to fixing things. He came in about a couple months ago and said, you know, I need an inventory reporting system for all my parts. We said, fine, we'll put it on the Excel program. Well, he uses it on Friday, and let me tell you something, it's impossible for us to get it back.
The reason why I use Macintosh in accounting is because it's not a computer for accounting. It's a computer for people. I'm an accountant. I have 5 different calculators. Each one does a trick. But I can only have one computer, and that computer's got to be a jack of all trades, and it's got to be used by all kinds of people. That's why we have a Macintosh.
Chicago's a great city. I love the action, I love the people, and I love my job. The happiest people are the people who discover that what they should be doing and what they are doing are one and the same. And the Macintosh has literally made my company survive and has made it thrive. So I can tell you that the Macintosh has made me very, very happy.
My name's Steve Siegel, and I play third base for Lipshultz brothers, Levin and Gray. It may look a little rough out there, but we do have high hopes for the season. A lot of people think of accountants as stuff shirts and boring and bean counters and dull. We here at Lipshultz brothers, Levin and Gray are a little bit different. We have fun with what we do. We enjoy working with our clients and living vicariously through our clients. And I think part of that is proven out by our use of the Macintosh. We started using the Apple Macintosh 5 years ago. We chose it then because we had a number of people here who were computer illiterate. Within days, people were up and running spreadsheet programs, word processing programs, and tax planning programs. I figure we're saving $1,500 per person in training costs. One of the nicest things that I found about the Macintosh is that every program that you work with basically runs the same way. You don't have to relearn how to run the machine every time you're putting a new program into it. There's a big advantage to the tax program on the Macintosh. There's a familiarity with what you're used to working on manually, be it a 1040, a 1065, or an 1120. You can sit down and prepare the return very quickly and not have to worry about missing a filing date. Doing our clients' accounting on the Macintosh, we spend less time number crunching, and we can spend more time providing them with the consulting services that they need and we want to provide. Jay Scanlon from Drumlin Management moved from Boston to Chicago. Jay got himself into business and has done some spectacular work in renovations. In real estate development, accounting is a very complicated process. We use a very sophisticated Macintosh accounting program that, for our purposes, we run 3 modules: general ledger, accounts receivable, and accounts payable. We've charged into this business with very little knowledge about basic accounting principles, and we very early on used Lipshultz brothers, Levin and Gray, to guide us in the formation of what it is that we should be telling the computer. We use the Macintosh in everything that we do. It tracks costs. It keeps track of names and addresses for marketing purposes. It manages the books and the checking account balance. The other thing that the new accounting system gives you, as our business has expanded, so has the amount of input we've needed from our accountant. Otherwise, you can kind of waltz off into a fantasy land of accounting, and none of it make any sense in reality. But you really can jump right in on day one and begin to contribute to this organization because there's a Mac before you. All you need to do is be able to point and type. It's really come to this point in time that we use the Mac in virtually every aspect of managing our practice. Using the Macintosh allows us to be sure that our accounting is done accurately, it's done efficiently. We write our checks off the Macintosh. We produce our own financial statements. That includes the balance sheet, income statement, and statement of cash flows. The spreadsheet is one of the most valuable in helping to manage our practice here. We use it in order to analyze billable and non-billable time, to analyze our accounts receivable, and to use that in the aging process. We have taken the time to develop our own database, and we now use that in order to keep track of all the due dates for all of our tax returns and financial statements. We've increased by multiples the number of machines we have in the office. And the reason we've increased the Macintoshes is we found more and more things that we can do with them. Harold Lipshultz is the founding partner of our firm. He's a wonderful man who has taught me a lot about business.
We serve as really hard-driving, competitive, successful business people. These are demanding persons. They want the absolute best. If we don't give it to them, we fail. In order to give them the best, we have to be able to utilize the best support we can get. The Apple Macintosh gives us that type of support.
We have a good time playing softball, and it's certainly something I've grown up enjoying. Every ball player has a lot of decisions to make in the field, and we in business have a lot of decisions to make as well. We feel that we've made the decisions that have kept us ahead of the game.
This is a small company competing against some of the largest firms and companies in the world.
I don't think we would be able to manage if we didn't have the Macintosh computer.
I think it's increased our productivity a great deal. We can get a whole lot more work done with the Macintosh.
I have gone head-to-head with the biggest and the most powerful and the richest law firms and corporations in this country. And I've done it with the Macintosh. I take people's claims who could not get these corporate lawyers to represent them because they'd laugh at them for the smallness of their claims. And I take those people and I get those people justice. I knew when I had 6 files when I started my practice in 1985 that wasn't going to be enough. I've gone from having 6 files and a secretary and me and 2 Macintoshes to having about 6,000 clients. I'm signing up more on a daily basis. I've got 15 or 20 Macintoshes. I've got 15 people working for me full time. I've got another lawyer, and we're accomplishing more with 15 people than many firms could do with 100. There's 4 basic areas that every business does: accounting, marketing, communication, research. And all of those things are done on the Macintosh. And in our office, instead of having a secretarial staff who does nothing but secretarial work, or a word processing staff that does only word processing, people do word processing, do spreadsheet work, do accounting work, do manipulation of the database. I routinely manipulate, add to, take away from, correct, or change the same information everybody else in the office does. And I need to be able to work with everybody else in the office as a team. System 7 allows me to do that. A lot of the benefits of System 7 are remarkably subtle but powerful. The fact that every machine turns into a file server is one of those ideas that starts out a little high and then skyrockets.
I can share files with other outlets on the system, and at the same time not all, in other words, selectively share with just one person, say Jim, instead of everyone in the office being able to see the entire network. It makes you wonder how you got along without it.
I need to go in and look at some records that I asked Ellen to do this morning on a spreadsheet. I'll actually open up the files on her machine just as if it were another file server. And sure enough, she's got the expense reports there, and I'm now accessing the expense reports that she created that are actually on her hard disk. I've discovered since I had the opportunity to talk to her that I need to enter a change for the hotel bills. That's not really very hard to do. That change is now made on the document on her desk, so she knows what the correct accounting is. I know what the correct accounting is. We can limit access to who's looking at confidential information, and we can share it among ourselves. We've had Macintosh computers for 6 years now, and we found out very quickly we could do our own accounting faster, better, cheaper than anybody could outside, most of all because we're the people who have the need to have them done right. So we do it in-house. We do it on a Macintosh, and it's not a problem. I have been forced to keep track of more information than a single lawyer has kept probably before in our country's history. I need to keep track of thousands of homeowners. I need to keep track of their names and their addresses, facts about their case, what complaints they have, what their damages are, and how I get in touch with them when I need to take their deposition or when we need to go to trial. The Macintosh databases that are available allow me to do that. And now let me tell you what happens with System 7. With System 7, with the ability to link the information that's in the database directly to a word processing program, publish and subscribe, you're going to see a dramatic increase in the accuracy of data being entered. You're going to see a reduction in the time that it's entered, because right now people are typing it in accounting, they're typing it in a spreadsheet, then they're typing it in a database, then they're typing it in a word processor. With System 7, you're going to get greater accuracy, you're going to have decreased time in entering the data, you're going to have increased client satisfaction.
Ellen, here are the new expenses in the Schmidt case.
Thank you, Paul. I'm opening a spreadsheet for the Schmidt expenses so that I can publish a chart into a word processing document. Publish and subscribe make my job easier by allowing automatic update of data and files, whether it's a word processing document or a spreadsheet. This is much better than copying and pasting since there are live links between our files. This way, I know that everyone in our office is working with the most recent information. So now, once I update my spreadsheet, it automatically updates my word processing document. This is going to save me a lot of time.
Everybody that runs a small business has the same needs that I do. They need the ability to communicate within their office and without their office. They need to be able to communicate with people with different machines, with different programs, with different operating systems. The thing about the Macintosh that I have been amazed by is that there is hidden power that is designed into the machine that you discover more and more and more. And I can tell you something, I can take a Macintosh and run the world.
The thing that attracted me about the sport of triathlon was, just like the practice of law, you get the opportunity to excel in a lot of different areas in 3 sports rather than just one event. We looked for computers that could do a lot of different things rather than just one thing. And the Macintosh was a natural answer to that question. It's a computer that a user who has basic knowledge can do a lot of different things with once you learn how to turn the machine on. The Apple dealer that we have worked with came in, did an evaluation of all the things that we wanted to be able to do with a computer. The support's been tremendous. We managed to get the entire office wired for our network on one Saturday. There were 3 guys that came in, wired across 3 floors, just worked real well for us. I'll have to say, over some skepticism, on Friday afternoon we had no network, and on Monday morning it was up and running. Sid Johnson is one of the founding partners of the firm. For the past 6 years, he's been serving as the DeKalb County attorney. The jury verdict, we feel, which has already been overturned in that case.
In this office, which is 6 or 8 miles removed from my firm office, I conduct the county attorney's business. We found it was impossible to get in touch with each other by telephone. So with the Macs and quick mail, we were able to carry on 2 levels of conversation, one by telephone and one by computer. I find that the Mac has given me a more comprehensive ability, a deeper reach into the documents without having to pull documents themselves. We can reach into the deposition looking for particular subject matters without having to sit down and read page by page. We look at everything in terms of production. A law firm is in many ways just like any other business. Well, we produce paper and we produce the results from paper instead of tin cans and widgets. And the ability to move from one piece of paper, one document to another, to pull documents together, to compare documents quickly and easily and comprehensively aids us in that production in ways that we have not been able to experience before.
It's very difficult for any firm, much less a medium-sized firm like ours, to maintain a library that's going to have all the information that you might possibly need. One of the things we've done on the Mac is to make that available on every lawyer's desk so that now virtually any legal writings are available for research right there on your desktop. You're able to be a lot more creative in how you present things and how you make arguments. We can use graphics programs to prepare trial presentations and displays. Westlaw is the database that we use. We're now able to cut and paste and edit in the same way that you would any other Mac interface. And so we can go to a case, pull a quote or a paragraph out, copy it, and paste it directly into a brief. It's really been remarkable.
Among your duties as an employee,
in trial, you've got to be able to see the information and get to it quickly. It may be necessary to locate a point of law or a point of evidence at any time during a trial from a large database that's been developed during the several years in which a case is being prepared for trial. Macintosh gives you the opportunity to do that. Being in the courtroom is a lot like being in a race. It is a competition, and the guys at the other table are your competition. One of the things we have focused on all the way through our evaluation on the Mac is that when you go to court, you're going to do battle. And when we go to do battle, we want to smoke them.
My family has lived here in New Hampshire for over 5 generations. The quality of life here can't be beat anywhere else in the world. My name is John Robinson. I'm a design builder here in the Lakes region of New Hampshire. The first thing I do in the morning before my first cup of coffee is turn on my Mac to see exactly where I am and get down to business. I build quality homes. I stress quality all through my business.
Did a great job, Jack.
Mac has really helped me develop my creative abilities. With the Mac, I can try multiple what-if situations that that really help me improve the design capabilities. I don't find anything real mystical about the Mac. I just look at the Mac as another tool in my toolbox of like a saw or a hammer. It's a tool. I'm vice president of a chapter of the New Hampshire Home Builders Association, and we use the Mac for monthly newsletter. We have an advertisement section where subcontractors and builders can advertise. We do all the layouts on the Macintosh. We use it for real estate brochures, for accounting, for design work, for project scheduling. In fact, I would say the Mac is my project manager. You know, I couldn't imagine doing payroll without that computer. We know exactly how many hours each man spent on different phases as we move through that job. Before I had a Mac, I tried working with an MS-DOS and just was not happy with that kind of environment because I just had to remember how to use the machine. Every time I sat down on the machine, I had to retrain myself. When I talk to architects or engineers or other professionals in my business, or the question of incompatibility arises, and I just feel there is no such thing as incompatibility. I can take an MS-DOS disk, insert it into my data file, and translate it over into the Macintosh environment. MLS is a multiple listing service that's available to all the brokers in the Lakes region. As a real estate broker, my wife Leslie can access those listings directly through the Macintosh. She'll put together an analysis that she'll take off the MLS computer showing what's sold in that price range and be able to import the information from the MLS into professional documents without having to shuffle through paper and retype information.
Another really nice feature of the Macintosh that we find really handy, particularly in working with buyers, and it's very impressive, is the amortization schedule that we can pull up instantaneously on the computer. That shows people what their monthly payments are going to be based on a certain percentage rate, and it will tell them what they can afford to take out as a mortgage. So it's a really handy tool.
I believe that without the Macintosh, with the recession that we're in New England, I wouldn't have the ability to be on top of the profit and loss statement the way I am now. I have to stay in business. There are some people out there who are bidding jobs at below cost. I believe that they're doing that honestly, but I can't bid a job at below cost. I want to stay in business, and with the Macintosh, I have that ability. The Macintosh is my estimator, my design assistant, my project manager, my accountant, my document producer. It's my silent partner.
It's the interface between what's in my imagination, what's in my brain, and what's on the paper.
So when you turn it on, you've got graphics right there. You're looking at folders, you're looking at icons, you're actually looking at something that somebody drew. I'm actually able to stand in my design and walk around in it and look at it from all different perspectives almost instantly. Actually be there, be a part of the design.
It has allowed us to become architects again. We can handle everything.
When you're creating parts on the modeler in 3D, you can make the surfaces meet, or you can space them apart in increments of a 10,000th of an inch. You can change things extremely quick in a matter of seconds. You can move it, shape it, rotate it. We couldn't do this type of engine evaluation by hand. In a moment's notice, you just push a button on the Mac system and it gathers all this data, so it actually speeds things up enormously.
We have a philosophy here, and that's that every designer should have a Macintosh on their desk, and we want them to use that in the design process. The clients get real excited because many times they're seeing video animations of the product, which is completely new to them from a design firm.
So I can do my spreadsheets, I can type letters, I can do graphics layout, I can do CAD drawings. You can do a lot on a Mac.
We use the Macintosh as a tool to do all of our work. We do our mechanicals on it. We work with our billing. I write my letters. It's so incredibly versatile, and that's the great thing about the Mac in our business.
In order to go into business for ourselves and compete in New York, we had to be real productive.
The first question that came up was, what's going to make you any different? Why do you want to go into the business? What's your edge on the competition?
This machine was one of the things that we could use to be competitive because, you know, we did our first project was a corporate identity. The three of us did it. It was a big corporate identity. If we'd done it traditionally, we would have needed probably 3 or 4 more people, and we couldn't afford it because we're just starting out.
The reason that we used the Macintosh to go into business, and the reason that it gave us our edge, is this was the direction that design was going, and this was the tool for the future. When we opened the door, this was basically an open area. The first thing we set up was basically a piece of plywood, 2 Apple Macintosh boxes, and 2 Macintoshes.
Come in the morning, I turn on my Macintosh. Everyone does that in this office. They come in and turn on the Macintosh. We do that almost before we turn on the lights.
All these different types of abilities of the Macintosh makes it easier for one person to develop something from beginning to presentation.
You present the client with something that already looks like it's finished, and it's so easy for them to say, well, okay, it's fine.
So that allows us to sell, in a sense, maybe a little crazier, a little different ideas, where before you would have had trouble to, say, conceptualize it, then you couldn't really show it to the client.
Yeah, the bottom line is that we use the Macintosh and the different printers that we have, and we give something out that looks like it's already done.
I flew down to Washington, had a meeting, and here it was with 4 days. I had to produce full color comps and ideas to go along with these concepts. When I made the presentation, sure enough, the first question was, how did you do this? But I said, we did it on the Macintosh.
The modifications you can make on a document are so much easier. Just think of what it would be like if every time you wanted to change the size of a logo on a page a little bit, you'd have to go and stat it up or down. I mean, that's the sort of thing that gives you the edge.
Well, what's happening now, companies now use design firms like us as their in-house design firm. All we have to do is put a Macintosh computer into their office with a modem and the same type of software, and it's just a matter of file changing back and forth over a modem. So in a sense, they have us in-house, on call all the time. We're getting so much work in now that we needed some sort of software to deal with the growing number of accounts now. Since we're already using the Macintosh for so many other parts of our business, it just became a natural progression into the computer. But the program on the Macintosh will allow us to see relationships between the numbers that we would not have found before.
Using a computer to do this helps you out. Otherwise, it takes 2 days, 4 days, lots of money. Call up your accountant. They do all this paperwork.
So it lets us do our real work design. We were asked by a CEO of a company to do a brochure as a promotional piece for employees, rally them around the company. And the CEO came to us with an idea, let's use gears. It allowed me to start investigating some ideas that Michael and I had been working on in the Macintosh, to try some new illustration methods. First of all, we came up with thumbnail sketches for each of the spreads. Michael then did the base drawings for each of the illustrations and then scanned them into the computer. We went and put them into Adobe Streamline, which is an automatic trace program, which will actually trace what you've scanned in. Next, we wanted to colorize them. So what we did was took those files from Streamline and put it into Adobe Illustrator, where Michael and I colorized each of the illustrations. We were able to go through a series of 20 to 30 different color variations for each illustration and within an hour. The next thing we did was combine the images and the text in PageMaker for the design of the layout. We then took the PageMaker files and put them through Adobe Separator. Using Adobe Separator, we were able to make 4-color separations.
It was pretty wacky stuff.
Very wacky.
And I don't think the client would have gone for it if the thing hadn't already looked finished.
That's the bottom line. The Macintosh allows us to produce, what you see is what you get.
We have a shorter production time, so that leaves us more time to design. And the more time we have to design, the better job we can do.